Hello and welcome to another Digitals and a Cruel World podcast. We are delighted to bring you another fun-packed show, plenty of news, updates, interviews, and the usual nonsense from the three of us. We have also, should highlight, of course, that we have the Digital Disruptor Awards coming up soon, and we have an absolute ton of people and apps and other things that have been nominated for the various award categories. So our award judges at the moment are just sifting through those to find out who will be the fateful few that will go through to the final nominations and be up for an award. And we're very much looking forward to sifting through that afterwards with the award judges to find out what was really going on behind the scenes and understand what their thought processes and things were. But in the meantime, if you are interested in joining us at the awards, we'd love for you to grab a ticket. If you're a sponsor or want to sponsor some of the awards, there are still opportunities to do that. And you can, of course, grab a table as well. There are plenty of information out there. We can put links in the podcast notes and things. And we're looking forward to having an absolute cracking night with you. Anyway, let's crack on with the show. And Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm massively sleep deprived, John. After my very prematurely born son recently came home, and I'm now getting pretty much no sleep. So yeah, if I make no sense or make less sense than I normally make, that is why.
Excellent. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll have some sort of like sensometer in the background. We can have like a bit of a thing that swings back and forth. I think we can actually hear your newborn in the background. Clearly not very happy at the moment, but anyway, I'm sure things will settle down. And Indi, how are you? Because I know you've been traveling around and eating massive steaks and things like that.
Yeah, mistakes, exactly. Making massive mistakes, that's the one. Good. Yeah, looking forward to the awards. Not far away now, so we've got a few different categories that we want to try and make sure that we promote. While there's some notable characters in the awards list that have been nominated. Thank you so much for all those who took the time to vote. It's too late now, so if you haven't made your submission, then you'll have to wait till next year. But hopefully you can all still join us at the main event, which you are going to visit when, John? You're going to go and see the venue, make sure that we get some good shots of you and Lee doing the act on the stage. What's the double act?
Well, I'm not sure what the double act is yet, but I'm sure between Lee and I we can come up with something. But we've got a couple of days to prepare because I think we're heading up later this week. And yeah, I mean, we'll take suggestions if you want to put something forward. We can sort of go, very traditional, two Ronnie Desk or Laurel and Hardy or something like that. Or we could make it a little bit more sort of, modern. We could, I don't know, take our clothes off, dance, erotically. Who knows?
Exactly what I'm doing. Burlesque, stop, please.
Burlesque, yeah. I'll find the feathers, yeah. Anyway, let's crack on with the show. Thank you very much.
I'm going to kick off app news this week with some information from Xero. So they announced new pricing a couple of months back with the plan that was going to be released in September. Now, what was going to happen is, as well as a general price increase across their platforms, they were going to change the name of everything. So Starter was going to become Ignite, Standard was going to become Grow, and Premium was going to become Comprehensive, I believe, with our Ultimate package staying as it was. But what they've also done is bundled a lot of features inside of those. So, for example, if you needed a certain amount on Xero Payroll, you have to be up on a higher subscription plan than just being maybe on Starter with a Xero Payroll bolt-in. So any of those bolt-ins you'd have to consider, well, where do I sit in the new structure? Now, the impact has been quite phenomenal across client bases. So I did a complete analysis across our client bases, and in some instances, some clients were approaching a 200% increase on their price, on their subscription plan for nothing additional, just from a price change. Now, Xero have been listening to feedback on this, and what they've basically said is that for the majority of customers whose subscription plan was to include the same or more features, they will have the same or lower price, like ignoring that, I guess, inflationary increase. And then for those that would have seen a big price increase, they're going to be delayed until September 2025. And in the meantime, there's been lots of discussions with your Xero account manager to work out, actually, are there discounts, are there deals that could be done to help those clients that would be jumping up significantly. Now, this is good in that it's been a I guess, a positive reaction from Xero, listening to its customers and seeing what could be done. I believe it's for discussion with accounting and bookkeeping partners that this change is focused on. So if you're direct to Xero, I'm not sure that's not coming in front of me. You may need to check. But yeah, the fact that they're listening and making change is interesting. For when I did an assessment, generally the increase is going to be somewhere up to 10%, if just for a standard increase. If you are bundling, it could be up to 200. But a big note is that the bureau plans, if you had a bureau plan with Xero where the clients weren't supposed to access, they're being completely removed. And for those, there's going to be an increase on 25%, assuming that you adopt the discounts that they're planning to roll out for those for a transition period. So initial 25%, longer term, a larger increase once you get out of that initial discount period. So changes, positive changes to what was quite a disruptive and not well-received price increase from Xero.
Yeah, I mean, I know we discussed the price increases a little while back. I think it was when I was out in Vegas, and I don't think either of us had a chance to kind of consume the announcements and understand exactly what the impact was. But I have to say, I hate these pricing changes, like the removal of bureau for firms, like us, where we just want a core product and the client doesn't necessarily need to be actively involved in it. Seemed like a complete nonsense. And one of the things that I almost always try to avoid when it comes to like products is this kind of entirely like bundled all in one place pricing that Xero now moving to, because the great thing about using a product like Xero, which I know they want to think of themselves as a platform, but really they are at least two products, if not more, in terms of like the core bookkeeping product and the core payroll product, is the ability to pick and choose between those and then use whatever works best. I know there are other features in there and stuff, that are add-ons as well. If I was coming to Xero, as a new customer today, that'd be one of the things that I would have to seriously weigh up as to whether or not it's a good choice and a good fit for my business. And I think, as you said, Ryan, when you start doing the assessment on the impact for certain clients, particularly those, I think, that are probably at the smaller end of the market, where having to have move up from a relatively basic subscription to one of the more expensive subscriptions as a consequence of using something like payroll, or as a consequence of using maybe some of the other functionality in there, is that the people that are going to win from this is FreeAgent. Because FreeAgent, we know, are already doing a lot of work in terms of building out their integrations and really enhancing their product to make it a bit more suitable outside of what was their core market of kind of like freelancers and that kind of space, to appeal more to smaller businesses. And I think Xero, even though they've delayed these plans by 12 months, are playing right into FreeAgent's hands at the moment.
Yeah, the beauty with Xero was flexibility. There's an app store enabled that. Then the ability to add bolt-ons enabled that from that Xero owned. And, sometimes say like Xero projects would be the perfect fit. Sometimes you'd go into the Xero app store to find the perfect fit. Now, I've had a number of clients that were using a small subscription, want to use Xero projects for the odd thing, have to move up to Ultimate. There's no point. They may as well move on to another product. And that's the blunt thing I've had to say to Xero. You're encouraging or incentivizing me to move them off your platform. And that's not the way that I assume your pricing rollout was supposed to work. So anyway, moving away from Xero, I've got a good story on how to buy a product and roll it in without detrimenting, I guess, your customer base, or buying it and then having to sell it later at a massively discounted price, not naming software vendors that have done this. So QuickBooks Online bought Gecko about 4 years ago. They did that to acquire the inventory system and its e-commerce functionality. From September 2020, so just pretty much 4 years ago, not long after it was purchased, they announced the release of QuickBooks Commerce. Over then the 2.5 years following that, that they were building out, they started building the functionality of QuickBooks, of Gecko into the other areas of the platform. So depending on what subscription tier you're on, you would get access to certain functionality. They also built some core e-commerce integrations directly into every single part of the platform. What this did, it incentivized members that kind of transitioned across from Gecko into QuickBooks Online to upgrade to certain platforms over time. And then we got to a point where QuickBooks Commerce, the separate product, was no longer needed and they could just get rid of it. So they did lose some customers from the acquisition of Gecko, but they bought all of the IP. They integrated it over time, migrated the client base up to a higher price over time to utilize that advanced functionality to still make the money, get the return on the acquisition of Gecko. I guess from it, they didn't need to build this out, which is a very difficult space. So trying to build out inventory management inside an already existing product is incredibly challenging. So they've gone down the acquisition route. Now, Xero have done a similar thing with buying locate inventory. It'll be interesting to see if they do the same play, that kind of move over time. Xero have not done this with some of their other products, and that's caused problems in which they have not got the engagement they want to. So brilliant work from QuickBooks on this one. Perfect way to buy a product, roll it into your existing system, and move your clients up without losing all of them.
Yeah, I think it's a great success story from QuickBooks. As frustrating as the acquisition of Gecko was, and what that meant in terms of certainly for some of our clients that were using Xero connected to that at the time, it demonstrates that if you've got the right strategy in place, you can make it work. And we are recording this just before XeroCon out in Nashville, and I think there are plenty of people expecting some kind of inventory announcement around that locate acquisition by Xero. So it'd be interesting to see that. And in the context of the conversation we just had about pricing, is like if they are going to bundle locate into the wider Xero package and then have to have another bump on pricing because you're going to have that stock product there by default, that is going to be really, really challenging for Xero in terms of their market position and things. So that's something they're going to have to take into account at some point.
Definitely. I think it'll be a challenge for them to get it right. But maybe we can speculate on what the name will be, because it'll be above Ultimate. So do you think it'll be like Avenger, Xero Avenger version or something?
Xero Ninja or something like that.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Xero Ninja. Yeah, I'm sold now.
Yeah. Xero Shogun. That's what it should be. That's slightly mildly topical.
Nerd.
Right, moving on. XBert have announced some feature releases into their XBert Intelligence product, which enhances the way that you can use the customer alerts functionality, or what XBert called custom experts, that's in the platform. So essentially, for anyone that isn't familiar with XBert, this is a product that's very similar to Dext Precision and Zen Connect here in the UK. It was formally launched earlier in the year, and connects into things like your Xero data to do that kind of data analytics in terms of looking at the data integrity and the quality of the data. And they have a multitude of functionality that allows you, to see what the data quality is, but also to set up alerts and notifications within the product so that you can, you keep on top of that data as things happen and how things change. And this is a whole bunch of functionality that are building in using a mixture of ChatGPT and I'm going to get this wrong now, but it's one of the other models that's out there, and you're basically allowing you to interact in a chat style with the data, but also allowing you to do things like, for example, there was already a VAT threshold setting that's in there, which is familiar with the other products. But what you could also do is you could then say, right, okay, rather than just monitoring when we breach the VAT threshold, how about we be a bit more intelligent and we try and monitor and say, right, as we get closer to the threshold, what we want is some kind of notification to come through, so that rather than waiting till we're over the limit, we can be a bit more proactive. And so this is just one example of one of the experts that you can roll out. And there's a whole bunch of other functionality and ability to monitor things so that you can be more proactive with clients. The other one that they give as an example is the ability to flag a significant drop in revenue for a particular client, and then obviously you can try and intervene and sort of find out if this is just a one-off or whether this is indicative of a bigger problem, and whether or not you then need to maybe get into some serious planning with that particular business to sort of stave off the worst. So XBert pushing ahead with their use of Gen AI. For anyone that is interested in using it, the pricing starts at £15 per user per month, and the AI functionality is on it starts at £4 per file for 0 to 100 activities. So it's kind of volume priced, but that's kind of the way that the pricing from all of these models work. So that's not hopefully too unfamiliar as we move more and more into this Gen AI world. And just to follow up on the back of that as well, Dext have announced within Dext Precision the ability to set a custom health score. So so it always used to be able to have like a standardized health score, which was driven by a whole bunch of metrics in Dext Precision. So that would be things like, have the lock dates in Xero been set? Is the bookkeeping up to date in terms of, has the bank reconciliation been done recently? Are there any significant outstanding invoices? Are there any discrepancies in the data in terms of multi-coded contact, for example, or misuse maybe of the VAT codes? But now, of course, what they've realized, and I think this is probably based on customer feedback or feedback from ourselves, is that what quite a lot of firms wanted to have is the ability to customize that, so that you weren't always looking at the same benchmark across all clients. And that might be because, for example, if you only did the bookkeeping periodically with a client, or the client themselves only did bookkeeping periodically, you would get a whole bunch of alerts that would say that the health score was dropping and dropping and dropping. And then as soon as they caught up with the bookkeeping, it would suddenly go back up. And that wasn't really giving you the kind of the context of what was happening with the data. So I think this is it's a great idea and a great prompt to start using. I must admit, we've just started playing around with custom health scores ourselves in Dext Precision. Again, one of the things that we don't sort of place a big, a big weight on for us is about the lock dates, because again, typically our clients tend to only lock in the previous year end. They don't go forward and lock every month, which is what Dext Precision wanted to try and encourage you to do. And so being able to sort of tweak that a little bit is really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, two of the data analysis tools going head to head in releases. I'm slightly frustrated, I guess, that you've got these add-on prices for AI tools. I feel, we should be trying to embed AI into subscription packages. That's just my opinion. Paying as a premium just for AI just feels like you're kind of getting away from the point of AI to extend, to extend, I guess, the functionality inside the system. But, that's just what it is. Dext, though, talking about Dext Precision, Dext are rolling their 3 products, being Dext Prepare, Dext Precision, and Dext Commerce, all into a single integrated platform. You may have already started to see this. We have, from using Dext Prepare and Precision. But it's going to be fully rolled out from September 2024 for, I believe, Prepare and Commerce to see those kind of functionality integrated, overlap to some extent. And then the Dext Precision functionality will roll in from November 2024. So they've got an overlaying kind of entry point now for all 3 products, but the way the 3 products will interact will also be more unified. This, I believe, was planned 3 years ago, but it's obviously very complex, and Dext are now on a massive roll of releasing features, and it's great to see that they are starting to bring the platforms together by unifying probably the underlying architecture of all 3.
When we've seen things like extension coming out, I think that is one area where this kind of unified platform as well would be of real interest, because all of a sudden you're going to be able to potentially pull data from 3 different sources and 3 different parts of the accounting system, and bring that together in one place. Plus, of course, it means it's a little bit easier for you and I, if we're using all of these platforms, to log in rather than having to jump around between different websites and stuff. And that functionality is already there to a degree, but it's not quite fully seamless, but it's definitely getting there. Right, moving on then very quickly. So Deputy have announced that they have now launched their HR product into the US. So having launched in Europe and Australia in the past, in the last 12 months or so, they are now bringing that product to the US. And essentially what Deputy HR brings together is probably 3 or 4 pieces of functionality. You've got deputy hire, which kind of does what it says on the tin. It helps you with picking up roles, promoting them, getting them out on job boards, etc., and then also doing that initial part of the recruitment process. You've then got deputy new hire onboarding. I'm not quite so sure that's as snappy as I would like. That again does exactly what it says on the tin. And then you've got two more functionalities. One is around HR document management. So again, managing all those documents, licenses, etc., that you need to keep for employees in one place. And the final bit is Shift Pulse Plus, which is all around like an ongoing monitoring of your staff in terms of how engaged they are. So sends out notifications, asks them to provide feedback, and so that you can make sure that morale and talent retention are sort of like top of your priorities. So a neat bunch of features and functionality, all now in the US market for deputy. So a great little release. And talking of great little releases, FreeAgent also smashed out an incredible little piece of updates to their platform, which is the ability where you have bank feed connections for your clients to be able to update those in bulk from the dashboard. So rather than having to go into every single client and then find that open banking bank feed in the individual client banking section and having to update that in one place, you can now, at the click of a button from the dashboard, smash out updating as many bank connections as you can possibly imagine, and so that they're going to be refreshed for another 90 days and running in the background without any additional intervention. So I think this is a brilliant thing. I've seen some of the demos. I've actually seen it in real life more recently as well, and it's a cracking little feature. And it'd be great. It'd be great if other products could copy them and do the same, please.
Yeah, please do. I love those little things. The things where you don't really think of it. It's a pain. You're like, I wish someone would just sort this, and then they go and do it. And you're like, oh, beautiful. Right. Well, we talked about a bit of a fight between data analysis tools earlier between XBert and Dext Precision in releases. We've got another one with Translucent going up against Mayday in that intercompany space. So Translucent have released multiple recharge allocations per entity. So what does this mean? So if you're looking to recharge between intercompany, you can now also select inside a entity between various accounts and tracking categories. So spreading it across multiple different areas rather than just a single recharge. Now, this is something that's always been in place in Mayday, and Translucent are building out this functionality. So I think they're trying to step slightly into Mayday space here.
And as if by magic, we've almost got the flip side of this as well, because Mayday have announced a AR and AP matching functionality that I would say pretty much does a little bit of what Translucent has been trying to do and then does do previously. So this is all around, number one, being able to see your accounts receivable and accounts payable balances across all of your contacts, across all of your entities. Sounds very familiar. Number two, you can then drill down into that so you can see the breakdown of invoices, bills, credit notes, etc., and be comfortable that that's all reasonable. And also what you can then do is, if you need to, is you can actually deal with reclassifying some of those or moving them between Mayday entities. So for example, if you raise an invoice on the wrong entity and need to move it, you can do that, and you can effectively like recharge it through Intercompany. So great piece of functionality. Really interesting to see this. I think we're all big fans of both Mayday and Translucent and what they're trying to do. And this just really it brings a significant enhancement to the wider ecosystem, particularly for entities big and small that do end up being multi-entity. And this can affect everything from small charities with a trading business to obviously those businesses that want to trade internationally and need to have multiple platforms in multiple places.
Yeah, well, competitiveness breeds development, doesn't it? So we've got two systems that are trying to not fight. I'm sure they're being very amicable, but it's driving development, which is great. Look, if you want to know more about all of these releases, please do check out the show notes. If you want to hear about them before we talk about them on the podcast, look at the website where they'll go first. And if you are worried, concerned that you may miss a piece of news that we do discuss, or things that we don't even get to discuss on the pod, please do subscribe to the newsletter and make sure you get a summary every month.
Ryan's busy with the baby. You're
I've got nothing to do.
Yeah, sitting and never returning calls. Sitting in your tent alone.
Wallowing in a pit of sorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
How was your tent, to be honest, John? Because we Indi and I made many predictions about what your tent experience would be like.
Oh, the tent. Yeah, the tent was fine. I mean, I believe it leaked a couple of nights before I arrived out in France when there was a massive thunderstorm. But I missed that excitement, and I just turned up, and it was mainly sunny for the full week that I was out there. So the tent was tent-like. Yeah, it was all good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I always enjoy camping. It's cool. And in fact, here's a little bit of science for you, Ryan, because I know you'll like this. Like, if you go camping regularly, for at least, you've got to go for a minimum of a week, better for 2 weeks. It helps to reset your body clock. You get more in tune with nature. So there you go.
Really?
Genuinely, yeah.
Fascinating. Why would Ryan prefer that? I think I'd prefer that.
Because he's a science nerd, that's why. Yeah, because we're not talking bollocks, that's why. If we're talking like chakra and auras and stuff, like, then made up science.
I'm so ready for a body reset. I'm wearing my Whoop again, see?
A body reset. Yeah, but it's not like Data from Star Trek where you just press a button and it's all back to normal.
No, I know that.
You've got to invest time.
I am not a novice to this, John. I happen to know that. Yes, I'm at one. I can be at one. Living body, living horizontally and vertically. You know what I mean? No.
I hear you've been doing a lot of horizontal living recently.
What does that mean?
That means you sleep. You've got to sleep. Everyone's got to sleep, Indi.
That's absolutely
I heard Indi slept like a bat, upside down, hanging from the rafters.
Exactly.
We're in a coffin.
Are you maintaining the collagen in your skin?
You just end up very red in the face.
No, I just have to make sure that like no one knows how like I want to be like Benjamin Button and age backwards.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be attractive. I mean that's what Ryan's doing effectively. If you look at him, I mean,
no,
sort of,
just because I look like a baby, because I've lost my hair, does not mean I'm aging backwards. I feel very old at the moment. I'd also take sleeping in a tent, as long as I got to sleep on my own. I got some peace and quiet. I'd take sleeping in a tent right now.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the issues about sleeping, camping, if you are in reasonable proximity to other people, because you can hear like everything going on, like the snoring and the farting and everything else. So it's it can get a little bit exciting.
Exciting? John, what kind of camp did you go to? I knew it. The keys in the bowl kind, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did some tent hopping, did you, in the middle of the night? Midnight antics?
Not deliberately, I don't think.
You just stumbled into the wrong tent.
Just stumble into the wrong tent, yeah. Just fall forwards.
Well, I was probably the opposite of you. I was in lap of luxury land in the Amalfi.
Wow.
And then I went to the Truman Show, which is Denmark. With less friendly people.
Did you enjoy Denmark, or was it so terrible that you never want to go back again?
I would like to say it was somewhere that I would frequent, maybe.
Never.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Was it because everyone was so much taller
I'm
than you?
sure there are beautiful parts. I just need to think about that again. Reflect on it. People work hard there. That's all I know.
What about the Little Mermaid? Did you see the Little Mermaid?
I didn't. No, I didn't do any of that.
I've seen the Little Mermaid in Denmark. That's all I've got.
There you go.
Oh, that's nice, right?
It's a statue. It's a statue. I believe Copenhagen.
Copenhagen, yeah.
But yeah, seen it. It wasn't that impressive, I'll be honest. But maybe it takes a lot to impress me statue-wise.
Were you impressed with my meat?
I was impressed with your meat. I was impressed with how it was cooked. I've not experienced that before. So you kind of cook it yourself.
Yeah, it was. It was a giant, massive piece of steak. Huge. Size of my head.
It's pretty good going for a vegan.
No. Not vegan anymore.
What was it?
That's
Were
what
you
we've been saying for a
vegan?
long time.
When did you get up veganism?
It's more that I still can't have dairy. Well, this goes down a rabbit hole now, so we're going to change the subject. But
I want to
food is
explore
amazing.
more about
Amazing.
Ryan's statue fetish. You'll need to understand more about this and sort of understand what really gets him going. Is it sort of like more of a Nelson's column type thing? Do we need a huge plinth with a
It's all about
someone
size, for
striding
me,
atop it?
John. All about size.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah. I mean, is it size as in like how the vertical, or we're talking about just general area covered? Because I mean, there are big statues and other things in various countries which are quite massive. Like I have a picture of me as a child next to effectively what was like an old USSR monument from the World War II, which had like tanks and stuff on it, and there's about 16 of us kids like clambering around on it, thinking it's absolutely amazing, and it's basically mowing down like poor soldiers in the trenches. a little bit abstract for a playground.
And mine, I guess, would be how ornate it is. And I've realised I've gone down a space with absolutely no backing to, because I literally just made it up. But I think a good, well-made, large statue is impressive. I was disappointed with the Little Mermaid.
We've been trying to think about a present to get you since
statue.
home. And now I'm thinking, a statue for the garden, something to join your other bodily functions.
If you could get like an ovum on a plinth, it would match it.
Yeah,
then,
exactly. We need the egg. The egg.
Yeah.
A giant
Right in the
egg.
centre. Yeah.
A giant egg.
White.
You can have like literally, you can have the sort of like as the egg split. The egg splits. The cell starts to split. You can have that.
Oh, that would be cool. So that is very scientific. A bit of mitosis. No, that's not right. That's completely the wrong word.
Sounds like you need cream for that, right?
I should get that treated.
Oh, I mean, if we get desperate, I mean, I guess Indi and I could sort of like act out some sort of passionate embrace, and then have it 3D modeled so we could print it and put it in your garden instead.
So what have you just signed Indi up to?
I know. I was there thinking, no. That's
we just went from fertility to now you and Indi having a passionate embrace.
I think we can ask the AI version of Indi, which never looks like Indi, to do that.
With the cigarette fingers.
Cigarette fingers, melanin kind of woman.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I mean, Lee. This does mean that Lee's got another role in the podcast, because he's now sort of like our, what do they call it in the movies? Where they have like an intimacy coordinator. There you go. That's what it is. He's got another role now.
It's really loud where you are, right?
Outro.
Outro. Whilst Ryan mimes at me in silence.
And thanks for joining us on another episode with John Toon and Ryan Piercy. We are looking forward to seeing you at the awards event that is coming up. And if you haven't already booked your ticket, book it. It's going to be an event that you won't forget. A little bit different, and hopefully you'll make some new contacts in the industry that will be unforgettable, memorable, and long-lasting relationships. Thanks for tuning in, and any feedback on the podcast, then please get in touch. Catch you on the next one.